Hi, are you somebody who desires to make change in your life and maybe you get an idea and you're like, I'm going to start a new habit. I'm going to start working out, or I find myself numbing all the time and I want to quit spending so much time numbing out on social media, or I want to start a new hobby or learn a new skill, or I want to learn how to start meditating, and you just are someone who sucks at either like you hit the gas pedal full on and you start that new habit and it's a lot and you make it 3 days and you quit. Or you maybe are someone who like, I don't even get started because I already know it's going to be too hard to sustain making a big change in my life. And so you just stay stuck in the same place. Well, today I have a concept I want to introduce. And this is microdosing. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, what are you talking about microdosing? You might be thinking of something else, but I'm wanting you to take the concept of microdosing that's become so popular right now in concepts regarding other ideas. But what about using microdosing to start making change? I love this idea. And so today here on Powered by Joy podcast, we're going to be talking about using microdosing as a tool to finally make change and make it stick and feel doable and more easy. And I'm super excited to share this concept with you. If you haven't heard of it before, and yes, I'm calling it microdosing, but you can call it baby steps, whatever you want. But I'm Erica and I'm your host of Powered by Joy, and I just want to share with you, if you find yourself being someone who's stuck, frustrated, bored, you just feel like you can't make change, we're going to talk about how to do that on this podcast. So welcome. You are in the right place. So I was thinking about how, let's just say you're somebody who you feel stressed and you know that you either numb or you block out the stress and just don't even deal with it. You lock it up in a box, or maybe you're someone who just like does the deep dive wallow and you can't quite get out of the deep end of the pool of your intense emotions. Or maybe you think, well, the way out of that is I'm going to start exercising. And you start and you do the first week, and every day you commit to getting up and working out for an hour. And by the end of the week, you're like, I can't keep getting up at 5 a.m. to do this hour-long workout, or it just takes up too much of my time. It feels overwhelming, or I'm so sore because I just started balls to the wall, went all out, went for it, and I hurt so bad and I injured my hammy, something like that. Okay, so it's really easy for us to get an idea, get excited about, have all this energy behind it. And what I have found over years of trying to create new habits, make change in my life, is the secret power of microdosing. So whether it doesn't matter what area of your life this pertains to, you can use this in anything. So if you're somebody who needs more joy, play, and adventure, which I love talking about, we can do it by starting with microdoses of this concept. You can do it with your physical being. This concept applies if you're trying to improve or create relationships that are better in your life. You can use this concept around health, money, energy, meditation practices, getting more educated and learning new concepts and new hobbies. It applies to everything. So I want you to consider that sometimes the answer is actually much easier and can be easier. We are trained to think that things have to be hard. They have to be hard work. It takes a long time. It's going to be, if it's not hard work and hard fought for, then it's probably not valuable and worthy. But guess what? We can actually do things through more ease than we think. And I found that by doing the 1%, microdose, baby step, whatever you want to call it, by doing things each day, just a little bit in the moment, it actually by the end of the year made massive change for me, and it stuck and felt doable. So here's a perfect example. I was of the mindset for years that I had to work out. It usually was at least an hour of my day, and I struggled with trying it in the morning. I hated getting up earlier. I tried it in the evening, but then I'd be all ramped up before bedtime. And so I really struggled, or on busy days, if I couldn't do the hour, I didn't do it at all. Like, great concept, right? But I worked with a coach, Coach K, Camille, and she was introducing me to this concept of like, okay, maybe you can't do your hour-long workout, but can you be the person who is committed to moving your body and exercising? And if you are, then what could that look like today? And what I like to add on to that is, what is the most easeful way? What is the easy way that you can start an exercise regimen? And so when I started back up, I told myself I literally just have to stretch for 5 minutes a day. And then it was a 30-day challenge of just stretching and doing yoga for 10 minutes a day. And that led to slowly expanding. But when I didn't hold this standard of you have to work out for an hour a day, that's the only way it's worth anything or going to make a difference, I actually got started and developed the practice of showing up every day and doing this habit, this thing, this exercise. And it slowly began to repair my body, improve my life, clear my thinking. And I actually started working out for a completely different reason, because I realized when I worked out and got my blood pumping and my heart pumping, I actually had a much clearer mind, and it cleared out the sleep and energized me and made me think better. And so it became less about how I felt and looked my body. And yes, those are the side benefits, but it became about that practice of, am I the person who shows up, and what's the easiest way? So whenever I'm feeling stuck trying to get started on something, my first question is, what is one tiny baby step? What is one tiny microdose of the activity I'm wanting to experience more of? What is one tiny baby microdose I can do today? So this might be that you want to start meditating. Okay, how can you start that practice when it feels very overwhelming? That can be that you say, okay, I'm going to set my timer on my phone and sit and just feel my breath going in and out of my body for 30 seconds. 60 seconds. That might sound so ridiculous to you that you're like, that's not really doing anything. It's actually magical. And you're starting to tell your brain, oh, that didn't feel bad. I can do 30 seconds. And when you just start to increase your dosage of the thing slowly and aren't taking 30 minutes to try to sit quiet and meditate the first time, like who can do that? I haven't met that person yet. That makes it doable. And I can do things in baby steps and microdoses way easier, way more often, way more consistently when I break it down. And so sometimes you got to give yourself permission to ask, like, what is the easiest, smallest baby microdose I'm going to do to start this thing in starting to exercise, meditate? Maybe it's finding joy when you're stressed. Maybe it's when you're finding yourself wanting to go numb and you feel that tension in your body and you're like, oh, I think I'm going to start looking at social media, scrolling. I'm going to scroll. You can start in little microdoses. So maybe that's that you set a timer. Maybe it's that you only allow yourself a little bit of time, or maybe it's that you tell yourself, before I go to that, I have to take 1 minute and dance, or I have to stand outside and put my feet in the grass. It might be something that you make yourself listen to. You're like, this one time, what would I do instead? I'm going to go to YouTube and find a video that helps me do some breath work that I've never tried before. It could be that you make yourself listen to a comedy, video that's a couple minutes long instead. But that's just one step that you're showing up and not just going to numbing. You're doing it in microdosing. And when we can do that, that's even relationships. Okay. So you can be in a relationship for a long time, but you maybe aren't feeling as close. And so you're desiring to feel more close and intimate. and maybe you feel like you've grown distant, you can start with baby steps. You're not like, you know what, honey, we need to sit down and have a talk. We need to talk tonight. That might feel like a lot of work, and like, who wants to sit down and have that conversation? Or you could try microdosing and just asking yourself, what's one thing I could share or do? Or is there a question I could ask? I mean, come on, we have Chat GPT, but we also have like Google. You could literally Google, what are 2 or 3 questions I could ask my spouse to get to know them better, even though we've been together forever. You will get suggestions that help you ask questions, and you could just start with that curiosity and make it more playful and light and easy. And you would be surprised how just showing up and like asking questions to just talk with your partner without the goal of like fixing anything or judging anything or having a specific outcome, but just to like still have conversation with each other where you're still, I know you're going to think, well, I know them. Well, guess what? There's always something rattling around inside our heads that our spouses or partners or people in our lives all the time don't know is rolling around in there. Or maybe past experiences we just forgotten about and didn't think to share. But then you can be that person that shows up with curiosity and is like, hey, tell me about like your favorite memory in middle school, or like, do you have an embarrassing story you can remember, from your school age years that you haven't shared with me yet? These are just ways to connect and feel closer to your partner. And so I'm just giving that as an example of like how it can be very small and easy. It doesn't have to be heavy, but little acts build on each other. So you've probably heard me talk about this if you've heard my podcast before, or you've maybe heard it out in the world. I heard it from Tony Robbins first, where he was talking about like when you are driving a ball at the driving range with golf, how if you literally just hit the ball and you change how you hit it by 1%, it literally completely changes the trajectory of where the ball ends up. This is the same thing with like a long airplane flight. If the pilot adjusts the course by 1%, you're ending up in a different city, homie. Like you're not going to be in the same place. So that 1%, if you imagine that even like 2/3 of the year, let's say there's 365 days of the year, and you show up and you take baby microdose steps towards becoming and doing things that you desire more of in your life to make change instead of doing these big changes, and you do it 4 times a year, every day, 5 days a week, you show up, you could be 300% more towards that habit. You are such a different person in a year if you show up in baby steps that feel way more easy. It's that consistency. And how do you become more consistent? You got to find ways to make it more easeful. And the way to do that is ask good questions. What is an easy, small, microdose step I can take to begin to add XYZ into my life, or improve XYZ, or to stop doing XYZ in your life? So that has been a game changer for me, that I thought, you know what, I want to share this. We are coming into the holiday season. You might hear this another time of the year, and there's going to be stress a year round in our lives. But for me, I was thinking, okay, you know what, as I go into the holidays, like how can I literally microdose joy and play into the middle of the chaos of holidays and family and all the things that happen? How can I do that? And there was stuff going on, and I just stepped away, and I do this all the time. You may have heard this before, but I literally just turned on a song and I danced. And for me, that's a microdose of play that really works well for me. So when you can find, like, if that is something you need more of as an alternate to dealing with stress and emotions, finding out like, this is a perfect way to figure out what is yours. Like for me, it's music and dancing is my key go-to for microdosing stress relief and getting back into my body and myself. And so you can ask yourself the same thing. What is one easy, fun way I can kind of release stress in my body right now? I do car dancing. Okay. You may come across me in a parking lot or at a stoplight, and I like to go car dancing, where I will be dancing like a wild woman in my seat. and it changes my energy and it makes me feel better. It just releases energy out of my body. So you can ask yourself, okay, what is the one easy microdose step that I can do to add some playfulness and lightness into my day today that feels fun and easy? And we deserve that, and it's way more accessible to us. And why not seek more easeful ways to add more joy and pleasure and easeful ways to add in those healthier habits that bring us happiness and less stress in our lives? Why not try microdosing? And that might be that you microdose other things, but it also could be that you're microdosing play, talking with your partner, using curiosity. It might be working out. It might be microdosing meditation or breath work. It can be microdosing grounding and being outside. It can be so many things in all areas of our life. So I hope that you find this helpful. I'm wanting to give you the idea and permission that sometimes it can actually be easier and more fun to make change, big changes in our life. It's just about doing it more consistently and in tiny microdoses. So if you think that you know someone who has these same struggles, and this might be a great answer for them, I would love it if you would share this with them so that they can benefit from this concept too and finally see big change by the time they get to the end of the next year. Share it. And also, if you have ways that you also kind of microdose already in adding little things in your life to make change, I would love for you to share it in the comments or share with me, because we can all learn from each other and make improvement in each other's lives by helping each other and sharing our ideas. And I also want to let you know that if you're local to my area in the Boise, Idaho area, I am hosting in-person play dates, which is kind of like a bigger dose of joy and play. And so that is something that happens once a month. So if you're curious about all of that, it's in my show notes, and I would love it if you would follow, subscribe, share all the things. And I hope you have a lovely week, and thank you for joining me.